about statements made and actions taken by these members, I must reject the recommendations of Representatives Banks and Jordan to the Select Committee. The unprecedented nature of January 6th demands this unprecedented decision. Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan joining us right now. Congressman, welcome to the National Desk.
Good to be with you, Jen.
First, what were your thoughts on Speaker Pelosi's statement and removing you from that committee?
I don't think she wants Republicans asking the fundamental question, and that fundamental question is, why wasn't there proper security presence that day? It's not like we didn't know there was a rally in town. It's not like we didn't know that when President Trump has rallies, lots of people show up. So why not do what you should do and have a proper security presence? The only person who can answer that question is the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. So I don't know that she wanted that question pursued. So you'd have to ask her, though, for her reasons. I don't think she's given any, but I think that's the concern.
Did this come as a surprise to you that she didn't want you on the panel, though?
I mean, again, I don't think she wants Republicans asking that fundamental question. And I also think this whole thing, you know, this just shows the politics behind it. I mean, I said this yesterday. What else are the Democrats going to talk about? They're going to talk about the rising crime in every major urban area. They're going to talk about the crisis on the border. I mean, think about the border for a second. March was the highest month on record for illegal crossings until April, and April was the highest month until May, and May was the highest month until June. That's what you call a bad trend. That's what you call a crisis. They certainly can't talk about that, and they can't talk about the economy. They can't talk about inflation. I mean, the price of eggs, milk, bread, gas, lumber, the price of everything has gone up. So what else are they going to talk about? Oh, let's bash President Trump again. They've done that for 5 years. That seems to be the only thing that Democrats are capable of talking about.
House Republicans are now going to do their own panel. Why do you think that as Republicans, you guys didn't do that from the very beginning? Why agree to be part of something if both sides already believe this is purely politics, completely biased and partisan, do you think?
Well, remember, the minority leader, Leader McCarthy, he recommended putting together a truly bipartisan commission clear back in January. Speaker Pelosi said, no, we're not going to do that. It was always about partisanship with the Democrats, and now we get to a select committee. Currently I'm on a select committee. I'm on the select committee on coronavirus, but we get to this select committee because Democrats have nothing else to talk about. They are focused on politics, and I think it's just obvious to anyone with common sense when they see what the actions that the speaker took yesterday. And I will go back to the fundamental question. You know why I don't think there was a proper security presence here that day? Because, Jan, what happened all last summer? Last summer, Democrats normalized anarchy. Democrats normalized rioting and looting. And in fact, when rioters and looters attacked police, the very police that Democrats were in favor of defunding, when rioters and looters attacked police and destroyed small businesses, what did Democrats do, including the current Vice President of the United States? They went out and raised money to bail them out of jail. So with that backdrop, can you really call in more security presence? Can you really call in the National Guard and more police? I don't think so. And I think that's what stopped us from having stopped the speaker from having the proper security position on January 6th.
Congresswoman Liz Cheney agreed with Pelosi. Let's take a quick listen to what she had to say about Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy.
Rhetoric that we have heard from the minority leader is disingenuous. The attack on this building on January 6th was the worst attack on this Capitol. The American people deserve to know what happened. The people who did this must be held accountable. There must be an investigation that is nonpartisan, that is sober, that is serious, that gets to the facts wherever they may lead.
What was your thoughts about what she said?
The people who did it are being held accountable. There are like 500 people who've been prosecuted for breaking the law, which we all agree with. It'd have been nice if Democrats would have agreed with that concept last summer when they were destroying all kinds of our constituents and citizens around this country, destroying their business and attacking law enforcement. So people are being held accountable. As far as the Constitution goes, on January 6th, those of us I objected to the electoral results in Pennsylvania because in Pennsylvania, they unconstitutionally, in an unconstitutional fashion, changed their election law. I mean, one example, the election law in Pennsylvania is very clear that the legislature passed, which is what the Constitution says is supposed to happen. The law says election day ends at 8 o'clock Tuesday. Democrats sued in the state Supreme Court controlled by Democrats, and the Democrat state Supreme Court says, oh, we don't care what the law says. The election now is going to end on 5 o'clock Friday. They just extended the election 3 days for mail-in ballots. That's unconstitutional. I owe it to my constituents to defend the Constitution. That's why I objected to the results of Pennsylvania on January 6, 2021. What I find interesting is Democrats objected. The chairman of this select committee objected to election results on January 6, 2005 to President Bush's election. Jamie Raskin, lead impeachment manager, he objected to election results on January 6, 2017 to the state of Florida. Maxine Waters, think about this. Maxine Waters on January 6, 2017 objected to the state of Wyoming for President Trump. So she's allowed to object to Wyoming. That state President Trump won by like 40 points. But I can't object to Pennsylvania, where they unconstitutionally changed their election law. You know what else is interesting, Jan? When Maxine Waters objected to Wyoming, I don't remember. Maybe I missed it, but I don't remember the representative from Wyoming voicing any concern about the fact that Maxine Waters was trying to deny the will of the people in the state of Wyoming. I don't think she said anything, the representative from Wyoming said anything about that. But now she goes out and criticizes Republican leader McCarthy.
Congressman, very quickly before I let you go, because you talked about COVID and that you're on the select committee for COVID, we just heard from Beijing that they think it's ludicrous, it's ridiculous that the WHO, the World Health Organization, is asking for a second investigation into the origins of COVID, and they say they don't agree with it, they don't accept it. What's your response to that?
Well, are you surprised? When have they been square with this whole time? It's been a year and a half. When have they ever been square with what really happened? We all know all the evidence points to a lab leak, but frankly, they're not the only ones who haven't been square with the American people. I don't think Dr. Fauci's been square because he knew at 10:32 p.m. January 31st, 2020, more than a year and a half ago, he knew he was on notice. One of the virologists who received our tax dollars and grant money sent him an email and said, the virus looks engineered. The virus is not consistent with evolutionary theory. So Dr. Fauci was on notice clear back January 31st, 2020, that this thing likely came from a lab, and yet he downplayed that, told the American people a different story for a year and a half.
So as a lawmaker, what are you suggesting is a consequence as a result of this, knowing that China will not agree and accept the WHO's second investigation on this?
I'm on the coronavirus select committee, as you indicated. We have tried to get the Democrats who run the committee, who have the majority, we've tried to get them to focus on the China issue and to focus on the fact that Dr. Fauci misled the American people, in my judgment, right from the get-go. They won't call him in. It's amazing. Dr. Fauci has testified like 18 times on Capitol Hill. He goes on every TV show ever imaginable, and yet he won't come answer our questions. Now, we invited him 4 weeks ago. He said no. So the Democrats won't invite him now. They couldn't keep him away before. Now they won't invite him. So I would like to focus on the China question. We've called for that. Ranking Member Scalise has called for that for a year and a half. They won't do it.
All right. Congressman Jim Jordan, thanks for joining us here on the National Desk. We appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.